is going to be a special focus video. So every week on Fridays at 7 a.m. I teach a Pilates special focus class. So usually these classes are rehabilitatively focused. So we'll talk about the shoulders, the hips, the low back, the pelvic floor, any kind of, tricky issue that can be a little bit more complicated to deal with in a normal group class. So we spend a lot of time talking about the ins and outs of physiology. But today is going to be a little bit more fun than that. I have got the tops to some cookie tins. So I ate all my Christmas cookies and now I've got my tins left over. So these actually end up being a pretty awesome workout. There are aspects of this workout that are really challenging, so please take good care of yourself, and I will offer modifications, so take advantage of those. If you didn't eat any Christmas cookies this year, you do not need to use these tins. The workout can still be done without them, so just keep that in mind. All right, we're gonna start off laying on our side, and you'll notice here I'm not using a yoga mat because I want these tops to be able to slide on the carpet. We're starting off on our sides with the hips, knees, arms stacked. If you need something underneath your head to support your neck, maybe think about grabbing a foam roller or a pillow. I'm gonna spiral around and take a deep breath here, really trying to fill up your side. And then we'll revolve all the way back around. And then here's where the tops come into play. So we can sweep the arms apart and turn the head. So you get to rotate your ribs in the opposite direction. And then come back all the way and then spiral once more the other direction. As you move through this series, try to keep your hips relatively stacked, although they might start to shift a little bit forward and back, and that's okay. I love this exercise for opening up the shoulders, opening up the ribs. However, I will tell you that this upward rotation movement pattern where the arm goes all the way overhead, that's a little tricky. So if you've got any kind of impingements in your shoulder, or if you've got rotator cuff issues, that might not be the best movement pattern for you. So in that case, you would just stick with this first option of just spiraling back and forth. You could also bring your hand to your forehead, which can help to take some pressure off the shoulder. Or we can add on our tins here, so we're spiraling apart. Breathing deeply through your sides. Feeling for a deep inhale to help open up the spaces between the ribs. So those muscles between your ribs are called your intercostal muscles. And they can get pretty tight because it's sort of rare for us to take a deep breath on a regular basis. So a deep inhale can really help to create a nice stretch there. Not to mention the fact that we really don't rotate very much anymore in our lives. Unless you have an older car that doesn't have a backup camera, in which case maybe you get a little bit of rotation. All right, so we've got our discs now underneath our feet. You're gonna bring your hands behind your head. Interlace your fingers so that your elbows are in about your peripheral vision. The pelvis is going to be in neutral here. So what that means is you've got a thin layer of space between your low back and the floor. Meanwhile, the ribs are softly resting down into the mat. Okay, and that's to help respect the natural curves of your spine. On the exhale, we'll start to curl up, sliding the ribs towards the hips, really trying to get up and over the top of the rib cage. Be careful not to strain in your neck. Really try to relax your head into your hands. And then you're gonna slide one leg at a time out and then come back down. And exhaling. Sliding the legs out, inhaling to return. Now, especially if you've got low back issues or any kind of pelvic instability, this exercise could present some challenges. So you want to try to keep your hips as stable as possible from right to left. We can add more of a challenge here. I'm going to start with my left leg so you can see by letting the knee fall out, circling it down, and then the right knee falls out, sliding it down and around, holding up in your ab curl as you slide the legs through. So really great exercise for mobilizing the hip joint. And again, it's going to be quite a bit of a stability challenge for your pelvis. And then returning back down. From here, we're going to rest the soles of the feet on the discs. It's most important that you get your heels on the disc, so if your toes are off like mine, that's no big deal. We're going to exhale, use the glutes and hamstrings to lift the hips up, and then come back down. The instability provided by the discs is a nice extra challenge to help track your glutes and hamstrings and keep them working. Now we can add more work here by sliding one leg out, drag it back in, slide the other leg out, drag it back in, return back down. Again, when those legs slide away from you, you don't want to be rocking your hips. Keep your hips really stable. Don't let your hips drop. And focus on that hamstring curl to drag the disc back in. It's so important. Feel like you're digging into that heel. Almost like the disc is stuck in something delicious like caramel or peanut butter. Just pull it in, working those hamstrings. Now, if your glutes are not firing, you might get a hamstring cramp. Okay, so if that happens for you, remember, your glutes really have to be your primary mover, and then your hamstrings are really secondary. Okay. And come back down. All right. Now, this one, just want to forewarn you, is a pretty intense challenge, okay? So take good care of yourselves. We're going to come up onto a modified plank position, resting on the hands. Now, you could also create fists with your hands or come down onto your forearms. We're going to dig into the knees and drag the discs in and then push them back out. Okay, really working with those abs. Now, if you go out into a modified plank position, you could then alternate. Okay. Part of what makes this exercise so challenging is that you've really got to work those smaller stabilizing muscles in your hips and in your abs to keep yourself stable. And then finally, you could place the discs underneath the feet in a full plank. And then begin to go into a mountain climber or pike both feet up and down, or excuse me, pike the hips up and down, working through both feet. Yeah. Full body workout, shoulders, abs, legs. Take really good care of your low back. Remember to breathe. And then let's finish up with a little stretch. So I'll have one shin bone in front, one shin bone in back. I'm going to take an arm up and over and slide that disc out. And then come back up. Other hand to the disc. Stretch over. Maybe add a little bit of a curl. Come back. Return. Do the other side. Arm goes up and over, stretch. Come back, really use your abs, your lats. All the way up and over, other side. Come back and return. Okay. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you next time.